boy, oh boy, oh boy. There we go. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So the congressional hearings regarding sanctuary cities have concluded. Um, got all of the updates loaded if you want to get caught up on that. Trump has also extended. I just had my notes on this. Trump has provided a 1 month exemption for automakers in regards to tariffs, but this does not exempt them from uh, the residual tariffs that are set to take place August 2nd, because his words, not mine, he is superstitious. So, hey. Um, Also, in case you missed it last night, regarding the presidential congressional address, it was not the State of the Union because it's one term, it's not a back to back term. Uh, Elon Musk, his mother, and his booger flicking son arrived via Air Force One. And in good old United States fashion, people didn't criticize Trump, they criticized Musk. But I thought Musk wasn't the president. And then, notably, Trump touted Musk as the head of Doge after they said that Amy Gleason was the head of Doge. And if you're not certain who Amy Gleason is, I have a breakdown posted regarding her. Also today, Trump and his administration have decided that there will no longer be, for the time being, intelligence sharing between the United States and the Ukraine. Keep in mind, this is also after cyber intelligence and counterintelligence within the United States was told to stand down in regards to Russia, who has reportedly had an uptick in their cyber surveillance, etc. Also, another note, it has been reported that Kash Patel does not know the difference between intelligence and counterintelligence. He also wasn't clapping through any parts of the speech yesterday and showed up in a purple tie. And I know you might be thinking, oh, that's not that big of a deal. In political settings, your tie shows the party that you're a part of. But for him to sit there and he clapped for himself. But not going to hold you too long. Do not forget, today, Wednesday, is an open discussion day. Those take place over Zoom. Feel free to check the link in my bio and sign up for that. Today is also a book club day. Task Club on Zoom will be immediately following the open discussion. You can sign up for that there also. And at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, will be the inaugural episode. It's a monthly series of Wisdom Wednesdays, and tonight's special guest will be Royal Star Mastery from TikTok. Now, let's get this midday catch up underway. Coming from flatwaterfreepress.org. Tariff trouble. Nebraska companies, farmers trapped in middle of brewing trade war. FAFO at your finest. The Trump administration has now placed tariffs on the United States' three biggest trading partners. They are retaliating. It's starting to affect Nebraska businesses who wonder how big of an impact will it have. You should have researched this shit when Trump kept talking about tariffs. You should have also paid attention to Nebraska when Trump was talking about his plans for immigration, because Nebraska, you are heavily, heavily dependent upon migrant work. You're also heavily dependent, especially your farmers, on USAID. The livestock feed company is already feeling the squeeze. Imogene Imogene Ingredients is Iowa based with customers across Nebraska, but the company is also global, importing ingredients to use in its feed products from around the world, including China. The recent Trump administration tariffs imposed on that country means that the animal feed company will now pay more for a feed additive for pigs and chickens, a product that can lead to healthier animals and savings for farmers. Speaking from his cell phone as he drove into Nebraska, Imogene Ingredients Manager Partner Paul Mitchell said the company and its supplier will absorb the increased costs as long as they can, but that will only work for a few months. Long term, we'd have a significant price increase. All of the current executive orders, over 100 by Trump's admission yesterday, and there's multiple a day. Like he has press conferences every day where he does his heartbeat signature, um, are affecting Nebraska. Nebraska is like a quarter or two, a handful of months from being bankrupt. Once again, this is what happens when you compartmentalize yourself away from humanity and away from reality. All of this, I don't care to suffer as long as somebody else suffers more than me. Sweetheart, when it comes to the federal government, we are all in the same bucket. There are no laws for thee, but for me, not on the federal level. Now, the execution of it, generally, yeah, it can be skewed. But when it comes to things like this, farmers, you needed the research from USAID for climate change resistant crops. Products, even when manufactured in the United States, crisscross the borders multiple times, which will put multiple tariffs on a product. And because of projections as to that were reported yesterday, that automakers could see and auto consumers could see a $10,000 increase due to tariffs. Yes, the big three got on the phone, and press secretary Levitt was like, "Oh yeah, they asked for this. They requested this," as if people are just coming to bow down to Trump, as if he's a fucking czar. This is not going to be beneficial. It's not going to be helpful. You're going to drive yourself out of business. You're going to drive yourself into houselessness just because you wanted to live your grandparents' wet dream. Newsflash: every generation, as they age, tend to infantilize their childhoods, the life that they had when they were in their 20s and their 30s. And a lot of it, their memories are Mandela effect memories due to the media that we all consume. They act like it was so great back then. No, it wasn't. It wasn't great for anybody. The only solace that racists took is that they could be overtly racist and carry out their murderous wet dreams. That's it. Oh boy, boy, boy. But we got some more news to catch up on. Because what is it? Oh yes, and to be clear, the Trump administration really did yesterday said to help with the rising cost of eggs that you should just get some chickens and keep them in your backyard. They care so much. They're all about the people. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. Okay. Supreme Court reinstates order for the Trump administration to unfreeze foreign aid. Once again, do not buy into the bullshit that Trump tried to feed you yesterday. The Supreme Court is not on their side. Yes, Trump was caught on a hot mic last night, talking to Alito, going, "I won't forget what you did." Now, Trump administration deletes list of hundreds of federal buildings targeted for potential sale. Trump administration plans to cut 80,000 employees from Veterans Affairs, according to an internal memo. Veterans are speaking out on the Trump administration's plans to cut the VA's budget. Panama's president called out Trump today regarding the reclaiming of the Panama Canal lie. Like at this point in time, if you truly believe anything that comes out of Trump's mouth, I'm questioning your sanity. Coming from the Associated Press, U.S. charges Chinese hackers, government officials, and broad cybercrime campaign. And before y'all go, well, see, look what Trump is doing, and look what the new administration is doing. You all do realize that things take time, and the people who are actually responsible for all of these arrests, investigate, they're nonpartisan. We don't know where they stand politically. They're just out here doing their job that they've been doing for years. These investigations don't get completed. They don't get started and they don't get completed in a matter of weeks or months. Get out of that law and order criminal minds, FBI on TV mindset. 12 Chinese nationals, including mercenary hackers, law enforcement officers, and employees of a private hacking company, have been charged in connection with global cybercrime campaigns targeting dissidents, new organizations, U.S. agencies, and universities, the Department of Justice announced Wednesday. Yet we want to stand down regarding cyber surveillance of certain countries? That sounds safe. A set of criminal cases filed in New York and Washington add new detail to what U.S. officials say is a booming hacking for hire ecosystem in China, in which private companies and contractors are paid by the Chinese government to target victims of particular interest to Beijing in an arrangement meant to provide Chinese state security forces cover and deniability. But TikTok, right? The indictments come as the U.S. government has warned off an increasingly sophisticated cyber threat from China, including a hack last year of telecom firms called Salt Typhoon that gave Beijing access to private text and phone conversations of an unknown number of Americans, including U.S. government officials and prominent public figures. One indictment charges 8 leaders and employees of a private hacking company known as iSoon, with conducting a sweeping array of computer breaches around the world meant to suppress speech, locate dissidents, and steal data from victims. Among those charged is Wu Haibo, who founded iSoon in Shanghai in 2010 and was a member of China's first hacktivist group, Green Army, and who is accused in the indictment of overseeing and directing hacking operations. So you went from a hacking activist to this. I'm gonna need more information. But the indictment contains new revelations about iSoon's activities targeting a wide range of Chinese dissidents, religious organizations, and media outlets based in the U.S., including a newspaper identified as publishing news related to China and opposed to the Chinese Communist Party. Other targets included individual critics of China living in the U.S., the Defense Intelligence Agency, and Research University. Hmm. Got some. Hmm. And still in the realm of cybersecurity, just to reiterate, this is coming from The Independent. Hegseth orders suspension of Pentagon's offensive cyber operations against Russia. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has paused offensive cyber operations against Russia by U.S. Cyber Command, rolling back some efforts to contend with a key adversary, even as national security experts call for the U.S. to expand those capabilities. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive operations on Monday confirmed the pause. Hegseth's decision does not affect cyber operations conducted by other agencies, including the CIA and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, but the Trump administration also has rolled back other efforts at the FBI and other agencies related to countering digital and cyber threats. And our current head of intel is worried about dirty messages that coworkers were sending one another. our current director of Intel, who's a part of a cult where they take the toenail clippings of their leader and sprinkle it into their food, is worried about coworkers sexting one another. While we have a whole first tangerine tyrant that's been held liable for sexual assault. The Pentagon decision, which was first reported by The Record, comes as many national security and cybersecurity experts have urged greater investments into cyber defense and offense, particularly in China and Russia, have sought to interfere with the nation's economy, elections, and security. Republican lawmakers and national security experts have all called for a greater offensive posture. Real quick, because I know some people are going to be like, the Russia host again. If Biden and the Democratic Party are the ones that are treasonous, are fascist, etc., how come there's never any talk of Russian inclusion or collusion or Chinese, etc., when it comes to Democrats winning? Because Putin couldn't wait to sit down and chit chat with Trump, but Putin wasn't trying to talk to Biden. But all right, not trying to hold y'all too long because, like I said, about 30 minutes we have the open discussion, and yeah, there's a lot going on today. And, um, and Vice President Short Pants fucks couches a lot. JD Vance decided to travel to the southern border today to check on the southern border. He's in Texas post Trump's address to Congress. Good grief. There we go. So, coming from CBSNews.com, Vance says Trump hopes to build the entire southern border wall by 2029. Y'all do realize this whole build the wall bullshit. We already had pieces of a southern border wall due to Ronald Reagan. I wonder what goes on in these wet dreams that Trump has about Nixon, Washington, McKinley, and Reagan. Is this like a 20v1? Is this a Debbie Does Dallas situation? Vice President J.D. Vance said Wednesday that President Trump hopes to build the entire wall along the southern border by the time his term concludes, an ambitious goal that Mr. Trump was unable to realize in his first term. He ain't never going to be able to realize it. Quick side note, you do realize J.D. Vance claims to be anti uh, trans community, anti, respecting people's pronouns and chosen names, but he chose his name. The name he goes by now is not the name he was born with. Are we supposed to respect that? Vance made the comments as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard made a day trip to the border town of Eagle Pass, Texas, to highlight the Trump administration's efforts to combat illegal crossings and drug trafficking. Y'all know that we know that the drugs are being trafficked to the Trump kids. Y'all know we know that, right? Y'all know we could see you, right? Their visit comes a day following Mr. Trump's joint address to Congress, in which immigration played a prominent role, where he lied about immigration. He lied about everything. He lied about everything in the longest address to Congress in the history of this nation. Ugh. Illegal border crossings at the U.S. southern border have plummeted since Mr. Trump took office, but the president's recent speeches feature fewer mentions of building a physical border wall than they did during his 2016 campaign and first term. I think the president's hope is that by the end of the term, we build the entire border wall, Vance said. Why is everybody thinking and hoping and postulating when it comes to Trump, especially those in the administration? Like, y'all are there. Y'all supposed to be in the loop. You know what? You know what? And of course, that's the physical structure, the border wall itself. But we even heard today that there are so many good technological tools, so many great artificial intelligence enabled technologies that allow us, for example, a camera, not a person, but a camera picks up somebody 2 miles away who's about to come across the southern border. We're using artificial intelligence to use make us better at the job of border enforcement, but it's not making you better at the job of governing. Like, y'all trying to use AI for too much. But first of all, Trump's new obsession is having a golden dome that's like the Iron Dome of Israel. Does he understand what it is? No. But I want y'all to hear me on this. Please stop saying that Trump learned from his first term. No, he didn't. Because if he did, he would tighten up the ship and have a single narrative coming out from his camp, from his administration. Because he consistently makes his press secretary look like a damn fool. He tells her one thing and then goes off and does something else. Like he said, tell them Amy Gleason is the head of Doge. And what did he do last night? Elon Musk is the head of Doge. He's learned nothing. Only thing is he's choosing not to really use career politicians because he knows and doesn't care that the GOP doesn't like him and doesn't want him. He's going to use intimidation. He's going to godfather his way through this. He hasn't learned how anything works. If he did, then his executive orders wouldn't need to exist and his agenda, his mandate would be easily codified. Like he said last night, we didn't need this. We didn't need a law. We didn't need Congress. We needed a new president. Because signing these executive orders means nothing with no plan, no legislation to back it up, nothing. This is why a vast majority of it is tied up in court and he's getting bitch slapped all out the courthouse and down the court steps all day, every day. Trump is not a winner. And especially when it comes to litigation, he is not a winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, they all lied under oath. And uh, lying during a confirmation hearing is an impeachable offense. Just like there are people currently sitting on SCOTUS, they can be impeached. Clarence Thomas is one of those. Clarence Thomas has multiple impeachable offenses, but not just impeach, impeach and remove. Impeach and remove. Vance and Hegseth represent the highest ranking administration officials to visit the southern border since Mr. Trump's inauguration. I love how everybody's just calling him Mr. Trump. I love it. They arrived one day after the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on nearly all imported goods from Mexico, citing Mexico's handling of the situation at the border, a move that sent stocks tumbling. A reporter asked Vance what Mexico can do to reverse the tariffs. One, Trump is already considering rolling back on the tariffs. He's already given an exemption to automakers for a month. But keep in mind, there are residual tariffs that are set to begin April 2nd, and that is for the USCMA deal that he brokered and renegotiated during his first term that these tariffs go against. Um, so yeah, and nobody knows why he's doing these tariffs because one of the things that was touted by yet another member of his administration was, oh yeah, Canada and Mexico are doing so great when it comes to the border, and we're just going to reevaluate what they're doing with fentanyl. If they're doing good at the border, then like it is like tariffs. He learned this word, he's obsessed with it, like his obsession with groceries, and he wants tariffs to be to Trump what trickle down economics was to Reagan, but all he knows is that people attach this to Reagan, that it's notable, that it's on everybody's lips. He's never taken the time to look at it. And before somebody goes, but he went to the Wharton School of Business, he was enrolled at the Wharton School of Business. Wharton put out an open letter, said, hey, my boy, stop saying you went here. No Child Left Behind used to be just an elite thing. Well, it was one of those, what's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor? Being left behind. Well, what the president says is we need a sustained commitment from the government of Mexico to take the job of border security seriously, Vance responded. Fentanyl is the single largest cause of death among young Americans, and we know that a substantial portion of it is. The precursors are made in China. They come to Mexico, they're manufactured in Mexico and brought across the border by the Mexican drug cartels. We want to see fewer Americans dying of these terrible fentanyl overdoses. We're going to apply as much leverage as possible to the Mexican government. Look, crack baby Vance. Stop lying. Stop lying. But you know what? Your goofy ass probably trust your mama around your kids. You probably do. You probably do. And no, it's not a dig at addiction as a whole. That's a dig at the history of the Vance family and the history of his mother. But with that, we're all caught up. Once again, there are open discussions today. You can go to the link in my bio to sign up. Immediately after the open discussion, we will go into the book club. And after that, hopefully I will see you all on YouTube with Royal Style. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Go out and get into some good trouble. But keep in mind, nothing that takes any bail money, especially not in this economy. It's just not in the budget. Okay? It's just not.